Hey y'all, it's Arwen with You Never Know. Tonight's guest is Michelle Amaranth. She is somebody who's local to me here in Austin, Texas, and somebody I consider just a lovely person. We have a history, not that kind of history. Michelle and I used to share an office together, and I really wanted to get her online so that we could talk to her about her methods of healing. And she's very cool. She does hula hooping and hooping, and I don't mean it's like standing on the beach hooping. This woman does fire hooping and sexy dance hooping. She does tarot, but she's also a healer. And so that's what we're all about tonight. Before we get going, I wanted to read the tarot scopes for the week. I'm going to make that kind of an opening thing now. And I wanted to remind everybody that Mercury is in retrograde. Please, for the love of Mike and his brother Pete, take a breath before you react and respond. I've already had an incident of this in my own life where I came across sounding like, quote, a heinous harpy bitch. Now, the fact that that was from my brand new husband wasn't really fun, but my tone was bad. So I would encourage everybody to kind of stop and think and remember that Mercury kind of mucks up communication sometimes. It's a great time to go back into stuff you've written and back into stuff you've done and edit and redo, energy around here, recycle, reduce, reuse, re-edit, rewrite. And I'm talking, so let's go into our tarot so we can talk to Michelle. Aquarius, you get the Three of Swords. Some heart upset may be heading your way. Remember to breathe before you react. Mercury retrograde may hit you harder than others, and that's because it's actually happening in Aquarius and Pisces. Pisces, Six of Pentacles. Generous. You must be generous with yourself as with others. This means forgiving yourself your slips. And share. Aries, you get the World. Expand your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Stop living in such small ways. The world is ready for your brilliance, so deliver. Taurus, you get the Ace of Pentacles, which I love. It's a good time to start a business, find a better job, ask for that raise. This is seed energy. You have to tend it. Gemini, you get strength. This is strength of purpose, strength of vision, strength of focus. Make sure you are not wandering from your own stated goals. You can make this work. Cancer, you get the Four of Swords. Honey, sometimes you just get mentally overwhelmed. Taking time out is not a weakness. Recuperation recommended, time out. Leo, Five of Swords. We had a lot of swords this week. Careful that you don't let silly disagreements become friendship-ending quarrels. Mental stressors make people pissy. Virgo, you get the Knight of Swords. You will be asked to take on a mental challenge, and you are ready. But don't take on anybody else's battles, please. Not your job. Libra, you get the Nine of Swords. Mental anxiety may ruin your week if you aren't careful. You're stressful, skyrocket. Be gentle with yourself, please. Scorpio, Ace of Cups. Open up to love. And let it flow both ways. Stop guarding your heart if you want to heal it. Love can heal this, I promise. Sagittarius, you get the Hierophant. Spiritual counsel might be needed. Look to your own guides first. Rules are set up for a reason. Stop breaking them. Capricorn, you get the Chariot. Hurry, rush, go, go, go. Yeah, it's going to be one of those weeks. Try to get the horses all going the same direction. That's your only hope. Now I want to welcome to the show Michelle Amaranth. As I mentioned, Michelle and I know one another here in Austin. We're very fortunate to live in a city that embraces the weird, because we both are. I have to tell you how Michelle and I met, because it's one of those, stories. I had just recently taken up hooping. I thought it was a very cool thing. I saw somebody doing it, and long story short, Arwen went and tried it out. Well, while I was trying it out, I was in a meetup for hooping, and I didn't know who the organizers were. I mean, they didn't. Who are they? But I found at my apartment complex somebody had thrown away a not brand new, but a hoop and a bunch of hoop making material. I happened to know it was hoop making material simply because somebody had just said they were doing a hoop making workshop. And I'd gone online and looked up what you needed to do to make hoops. So I rescued all of this stuff. That apartment complex was the best. I got a dog crate. I got a table. It was they were very good at throwing away great stuff. But I put on the list, on the meetup, I said, hey, I've got this hoop, does anybody want it? I figured I'd keep the hoop because I didn't have a hoop at that point. Or I did, but I needed a smaller one, and it was smaller. I digress. And I got this email from this woman that said, hey, I'd love to come get the hoop stuff from you. I said, okay, cool. Gave her my address. She shows up. It's this cute little redhead, about my age, and a little younger, but still cute little redhead. And she bebops in the house and instantly is loving on the animals who think she's the bomb. This is a good thing for me. If my animals like you, you've got an in. And she noticed tarot cards, or maybe she'd seen my name. I don't know, but we started talking about tarot. And I had a deck. I'd just gotten a duplicate, so I gave her this duplicate deck. She ended up making me a hoop out of the hoop materials, and it was just one of those connections where you meet somebody, and it's just like, I need to be friends. And that's Michelle Amaranth. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Arwen. Thank you. And I love your tarot scopes, by the way. So I'm really glad I got a chance to hear it live. So thank you for that opportunity.
So we've known each other, what, 3 or 4 years now?
Something like that. Time isn't my most favorite concept.
Me either. I don't do linear time very well.
Yeah.
So I want to, how long, we're going to ask a couple of off-base questions before we get into the healing. So one, how long have you been hooping?
I have been hooping about 8 years.
Okay.
And, I started at age 40. So yes, I am 48. So it's not just for kids. It's not just for young people. So, yeah, I started at 40.
I know she doesn't look a day over 25, does she?
Oh, well. We can pretend.
Right. Now, and how long have you been doing tarot?
I started tarot, I studied tarot in, I think, 1984. Prior to that, I was doing readings without cards, but I had a wide open kind of lack of filter. And so learning the cards helped me develop a filter for that.
That's an interesting thought. We'll have to talk more about that. I like that because it did for me too. It kind of gave me channels. Yeah. Almost. I would get all this information and it helped me go, okay, this is what I need right now. You need to stand off for a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're a healer. You're not just a one modality healer. You have several types of healing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Reiki is kind of my home base. I'm a master teacher of Usui Reiki, but I've studied a bunch of different energy healing modalities, including prayer healing and healing meditation. Ra Shiva is like an Egyptian style of Reiki, heart touch, light touch. They're all kind of, it's like ice cream, 57 flavors, but all still ice cream. But I like that each different modality has its own little nuance, so I keep adding more.
Now, I know that you and I talked at one point about, and I'm going to mess it up because it's been a while, and we both have the same kind of memories, I think. We hold on to what's really important, and then we kind of toss the rest.
Sure.
Make up stuff around it. You talked about, and I remember it as mind mapping or theta healing.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
So there is the theta state of your brainwave rhythm is kind of the place where in hypnosis, hypnotic suggestions take hold. In healing work, it's the brainwave state at which very deep healing takes place. And so with Reiki and energy healing, that's one of the goals, is to help people get into a very relaxed state of mind such that they can reach that theta state of relaxed brain activity. And when we set a healing intention before the session, once they get into that brainwave state, it's easier for the consciousness to kind of accept and embody that healing intention.
Okay.
Technical there. Basically, Reiki does a few different things. It gets you into that theta state, so at very minimum, it's relaxing, and it reduces stress. And if you can relax and reduce stress, that's good for almost everything in your life. It helps kind of calm, balance, and strengthen your immune system. And it also gives you something to refer back to when you're at a stressful time. You can go back and remember what it was like to be in that healing session. Also, energetically, if you have an intention, which Reiki is great for everything. It can heal pain in the body. It can heal stress. It can help break through places where you feel stuck in your life. It can help communication. It's great for relationships. Actually, that's one of my favorite types of work to do, is working with people in relationship, whether they're couples or business partners, family members. But when you set a healing intention, you can call on the energy of that which you're trying to create and hold that energy, whether it's a pain-free head if you have a headache, or whether it's open communication, or whether it's clearing a particular chakra, and you can actually hold the vibration of what that's the highest potential of that situation or thing is, and hold that energy there until the body resonates with it.
Cool. So you said a couple of things that were really interesting to me. How would you work with a couple? Let's just say that my honey and I were having communication issues because I came across sounding like a bitch and he didn't think it was an okay thing. Is that something that you would do? Would communication be one of the things you'd work with? Or what would you target, I guess?
So if I'm working with a couple together, if they're coming to me for a healing session, usually what would happen is we'd spend a few minutes talking with both partners in the room. And then we would do some healing work on the one partner. All the work is done fully clothed. The first partner will lie on a massage table, and I just lay hands gently on or over the main energy centers of the body and channel energy through with some of the intentions of the healing the relationship issues or opening the communication that the couple had discussed beforehand. And I usually will have the other partner lay hands on their partner with me. Just kind of rest their hands at the feet or the heart or the head of their partner while I do the healing session. And I'm channeling healing through both partners, but primarily the one on the table. And then we switch, and the other partner gets the healing while the other partner lays hands on as well. So they get a chance to each receive really loving healing energy that will help open up blocks to communication, help connect each person to their higher guidance and to their most peaceful place. But they also get a chance to help give healing to their partner, which is kind of, Reiki is like pure love. And so it's like together they're bathed in this pure loving energy that helps them remember the love that they have, why they're together in the first place. And then we do a little discussion afterwards. And so that can happen as many times, as many sessions as people need or want. But where the real power comes in is if a couple comes in and learns how to do Reiki together. And I use this with my partner a lot.
Who's a cutie.
Oh, he's wonderful. The best man on the planet. I'm very, very blessed. And the Reiki has been a huge part of that. On a good day, it gives us a way to help each other if one or the other of us has a headache or a backache or a difficult emotional day. It's just something we can do for each other. But at times when we're having trouble with conflict, and maybe we're having an argument and it starts to feel like we're fighting against each other, fortunately, one of us usually remembers, okay, stop, let's sync up. And so we will get together and we'll do the healing work on each other and kind of align our chakras with each other and clear the air and really connect with that deep loving energy, so that way we can get back on the same side. And so instead of fighting against each other, we can then be fighting for a solution, fighting for the relationship, fighting to get rid of whatever obstacle is in the way. And it just kind of shifts and softens everything and makes it easier for us to go forward on the same page.
Very cool. And I can see how that would work for business partners too, because you need that. Well, you and I were business partners in that sense of money flowing together, but I think in the way that we,
culturated.
Yeah, because we had the cutest, funnest office inside a dance studio. It was crazy. And I went in there the first time I went in to do readings, and I'm going to do readings. I'm so calm. And there were West African drummers in the studio next to me. And I mean, all you could do was go with it. It was a lot of fun. But Michelle, you have a new office.
I do. So you'll have to come check it out.
Do you know that you're about 3 minutes from where I work?
Oh, really?
I work right across from, sorry, y'all. I work right across from Westgate.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, really close.
Yeah, and I think my chiropractor's in the office where you are.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I think that if it's the same building I'm thinking of. But if somebody comes to you for a healing session, do you use do you use tarot to help determine what the healing is? Do you use Reiki to kind of determine how to proceed? How do you enter into a healing session, I guess?
Okay, so that kind of depends. Like, some people want both services. Some people just want one or the other. But when I'm doing tarot readings, I channel Reiki the whole time. Because it's my intention, when I'm channeling Reiki, it heals me and it keeps me connected with my divine guidance, and it helps me to be a really clean vessel for whatever comes through in the reading. And it's also my intention that that every reading that I do serves the highest good of the person and serves some kind of healing intent to make their lives happier and healthier and more creative, hence the name of my business. And so entering into a healing session, sometimes when people want both services, I do the tarot reading first to help get focused on what kind of things they might want to address in the healing work. If they're not coming for a reading as well, then normally people just come in and we sit down and have a little conversation. I ask what people want help with. And for some people, it really is a physical thing. Some people are working on their allergies. I used to have life-threatening allergies, and for 7 years, I spent 7 years covered in big, painful welts. And going in and out of the emergency room every 6 or 8 weeks, even though I was taking medicine for the allergies. And the doctor said that would never get any better. And it was Reiki was the thing that actually helped me get off all the medication, and I haven't had to go to the emergency room in about 12 or 13 years.
Wow.
It took about 6 months of weekly treatment from another practitioner and daily self-treatment to get weaned off of the medication, but 6 months as opposed to 7 years of doctors and no bad side effects. So that's been kind of awesome. So some people are really working on a physical thing, headaches, or some people just come because it's relaxing and they want to have a little mini vacation.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah. And a lot of people come because they're in transition. Similar things that motivate people for tarot readings. They're in transition. They have life questions. Same with Reiki. And I do, speaking of transitions, I do work with pregnant and birthing mamas, and I do work with terminally ill and dying people as well. But the most common type of things are like people contemplating career change or relationship change, people wanting to kick their life up to the next level. I work with a lot of creative entrepreneurs who need the energy and the focus and the open flowing creativity for their business or their art. So with a lot of different people for different reasons.
Well, let me ask you this about the people you read for.
Mm-hmm.
I ask this of most of my healers who come on the show. What's the oldest person you've ever done Reiki with, and what's the youngest person?
Oldest person.
And if you say 53, I'm kicking you off the show right now.
No, oldest person I think was maybe in their 70s, and youngest was newborn. I have worked with a few pregnant and birthing mamas, and sometimes very shortly after the birth, they want me to work on baby and mama together to ease that transition into motherhood and into being, outside in the world.
Out of that nice, safe place.
Yeah. So I have worked with small children and teenagers and newborns, and actually, no, I've worked with some, because I forgot. Yeah, I've worked with some people in their 70s and 80s, I think, have been the older ones.
Cool. Now, what about animals?
Oh, yeah. I have my own babies, my own baby animals who I love. And I do Reiki on them almost every day. And so, like, most of my dogs have lived to be 16, 17 years old. And I believe that Reiki is a big part of that. My one dog who I just lost at 17 and a half years old.
Well, I wasn't going to ask.
Yeah, back in May. She actually came to me with a fractured spine as a 6-month-old puppy. And the vets figured that she would have arthritis. 17 and a half years old, she never got arthritis. She was still walking that whole time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
And what about your birds? Do you use it with your birds? I don't know if y'all can hear in the background, but every now and then I hear at least a parakeet, and I know she has, or did have, a Quaker also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I use it on my birds. They really like it. Sometimes when I do Reiki on my birds, their little pupils in their eyes dilate and constrict really quickly. I don't know what that's about, but I can tell they're responding to the Reiki when that happens to their eyes.
That's cool, because birds do that when they're really activated. That's like something's going on. They're really into it.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay. Well, let me think. I know we had some other questions. Now, Happy Creative Life. You show up business often. You do distance work.
I'm sorry. It's cut out. Can you repeat that?
Do you do distance work?
I do. I do tarot readings via Skype, phone, and email. I do distance healings, although not very often. I really prefer to do them in person. Most of the distance healing work I do is volunteer, but I do paid distance healings for people who request it.
Okay. What about anything you use while you're doing readings or your work, or your healing? Do you use like stones or anything of that? Somebody in the chat room just asked if you used any form of crystals during your healings.
I do when I'm guided to do so. I always have crystals in the room, and sometimes I'm guided to pick up a particular stone and lay it on a particular area of the person's body. Um, Reiki doesn't really require any additional accoutrement, but sometimes I do. Um, and I always keep crystals in the room because I feel like it really enhances the energy of the room. Um, I occasionally use a pendulum as well.
What do you use your pendulum for?
Mainly just to sometimes I'll hold it over the different chakras just to see visually how the energy's flowing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it often, but sometimes I do. I'm kind of a no frills person. It's one of the reasons why I never really got into the body work either, because I feel like the subtle energies are so powerful on their own, and many people tune into them and are very sensitive to them, but the average person isn't that connected or tuned in to the subtle energies.
Mm-hmm.
And so rather than do something else that makes them feel like they've gotten something, I like to remove all the bells and whistles and make the energy so pure and so strong that they know they're getting something with the energy alone.
Very cool. Now, excuse me, you said something a little outrageous on your website, or it was in your, maybe you left me recently. You said that there was something you felt everybody in the world should know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think everyone in the world should have at least Reiki level 1 training.
Why is that?
Well, because it's awesome. It changes everything, but in a really good way. It cleanses and clears a lot of your own energy and brings the healing, brings healing to your whole system in a way that's deeper and more powerful than a lot of other things that you could do. If you have a good Reiki teacher, one of the first things you're going to learn is to be grounded and centered, to be able to protect your own energy so that you don't have to take in the pain or the bad moods of the people around you, and to heal yourself. And so much of the time, we're busy living our lives and we don't necessarily build in the self-care. And being able to have a tool to be able to check in with yourself and bring your own self-comfort and pain relief and grounding and centering and clarity can just help you get through the most difficult of days and can help make you better able to do everything that you do in the world. And especially if you're a service-oriented person and you help other people, it makes you more solid and gives you an opportunity to replenish your well so that you have more to give. And it also gives a really good, clear way to be able to help and to serve other people without draining yourself or without taking on their pain. Also, it changes, if you believe in that, and given this show, I'm assuming that a lot of the viewers do believe in that, the idea that we're all connected energetically, and that what one of us does to raise our energetic vibration and to heal ourselves and to heal the people and the situations around us and the planet itself. Like, you can, once you carry the Reiki in you, you can set the intention that everything you touch and that every place your feet touch the earth, that healing energy is left behind.
Nice.
To everything and everyone that you come in contact with. And so every time you raise your own vibrational level, I believe it sets out a ripple effect and helps to lift up everyone else around you. I just don't think the world can ever have too much healing. And I just don't think any one of us can ever be too grounded, too centered, too clear. It also opens your intuition and your connection to spirit and your higher power in a very loving and peaceful and very beneficial way. It just helps everything.
Well, you really touched people in the chat room. Michelle wasn't able to get in the chat room because somebody forgot to give her the chat link in time. But they're saying, I asked if people had Reiki done before. And Griff says, I've had long-distance Reiki work done. My friend is also into using crystals to work. Eben has never had Reiki work done, but would like to. And Eben is actually here in Austin. So we're going to make sure he gets your information. And everybody loves the idea of, and me too, of leaving the healing energy behind. I got this image of, I don't know if you're familiar with the show Fern Gully.
Mm-mm.
It's a cartoon, and it's an Australian base. It's about fairies and how they heal the earth. But one of the characters is named Magi. Mm-hmm. And she, everywhere she goes, as she goes through, little flowers spring up behind her because she's just this growth, positive growth energy. Now, let's talk about you teaching Reiki. Oh, yeah. How would somebody, I mean, if I signed up, or let's say Evan's going to sign up for your class, what can he expect? Do you do anything before the class, or do they just jump in on the day of?
So it's really helpful to me if people reserve their spot in class, usually by paying a deposit, because I have to prepare materials for each person, and I only have a certain amount of room in a class. I don't have more than 6 students in a class at any given time because I like to keep it small enough that each person can have their questions answered and everybody has time to practice. There's a lot of people who will teach a really quickie, become a Reiki master in a weekend kind of class. I don't do that. I teach one level at a time. I ask that people wait a good 60 days before they take the next level and practice. I break each class up into at least 2 parts so that people have a chance to come in and learn and practice, go home for a week, practice, contemplate, come back, and then have a way to get their questions answered. Although once you've taken my class, I don't abandon you. If you have questions, if you have a freak out, oh my God, I just had some healing experience and now I'm crying all day, I can okay, that's normal. Or if you have a client you're afraid, I don't know how to help them, call me, it's okay. But I really want people to have time to practice, and I want people to have time to answer their questions. Also, when you take a level of Reiki, you get an attunement, which is, it's like when you hold a tuning fork on one side of the room and you make it vibrate so you can hear the sound, and then you hold another tuning fork on the other side of the room. Eventually, the other tuning fork will start to make the sound. An attunement is like that. At each level, you get tuned in to specific frequencies that have particular healing intentions and healing effects. And so the teacher holds that energy to your chakras and into your aura until you start to resonate with that energy, and then you can recognize it and call on it when you need it. Mm-hmm. But when you do that, it changes your energy, and when you change your energy and you raise your vibration, it can change your life, and always in a really good way, but sometimes the transition is gentle and sometimes the transition is bumpy. So I like to do a pre-class healing session during the week before the class. It gives people an opportunity to experience a professional session because that's what they're about to learn how to do. And it gives them a chance one-on-one to ask any questions they have and to let me know specific things that they're interested in learning in the class, so I can really customize a class to the people who are in it. And it starts the transition of the energy a little by little. And so if they get the healing session the week before, the first half of class 1 week, and the second half of class the following week, the transition is gentler. So in a class, we do some discussion and some practice, and we alternate between discussion and practice, so it's not just all me talking at you. And it's not just I smack some energy into you and say, go. I actually give you a chance to practice and ask questions and such.
Now, if somebody was coming to take a class from you, I've looked at, Reiki's been around, I guess it got really popular, in the 80s, maybe late 70s sometime. And I've seen people charge $1,000 for a level 1 attunement. What is your price for a class?
It's $150 for the level 1.
That seems so reasonable.
Yeah. And the level 1, I feel like it's something that everyone needs, and I keep that price really accessible. The level 2 is a little more expensive. The level 3 is a little more expensive. Because as you're going up the levels, it's a career skill. And it also requires a deeper commitment. But there is a school of thought that believes you should charge $10,000 for someone to become a Reiki master. I don't do that. I do want to keep it accessible, and I do offer payment plans, and I take credit cards and cash and checks. And
when is your next class?
I have my Reiki 1 coming up 2 Saturdays, the 22nd of February and the 1st of March, from 1 to 5.
Okay, awesome. And somebody would go to happycreativelife.com to get information and sign up?
Yeah, they can go to happycreativelife.com, or they can go to my Facebook page, which is Happy Creative Life on Facebook. Yeah, those are good places to reach me.
Cool. We've had some questions. Reverend Robin says that, she said she's reasonable. I take your firstborn child.
Yeah.
I don't need that many children, Robin.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of questions. Evan asked, can you physically feel the energy that you work with?
I can. Not everybody does, but I do.
What does it feel like? Wait.
Oh, receiving treatment?
And then Evan says, is there some energy that is more heavy, like dense energy?
So, yeah. What I feel during a session and what my client feels during a session may be the same and may be different. And actually, the experience for both the practitioner and the client is different every time. It kind of changes according to what you need. So sometimes a person comes in and it's like waving flags and confetti and warmth and colors and visions and inspired ideas. And sometimes they come in and fall asleep on the table and they wake up feeling a little relaxed. And like with me as the practitioner, sometimes I get all kinds of insightful, intuitive information, and I feel different types of energy, some cold, some hot, some light, some heavy. And sometimes I feel nothing, which is one of the reasons why I train people both ways. I train with a very solid routine, step 1, step 2, step 3, and I train with follow your intuitive guidance, because sometimes your guidance is there and sometimes it's not. But if you show up and you do the work and you show up and you hold the space and you kind of keep yourself out of the way so the energy can move through you, then the energy does its thing whether or not you are privy to the information.
Cool. Now, when you get information, when you get intuitive information, and I ask this because that happens to me when I'm doing tarot readings, I get information that sometimes the person isn't actually asking about in the reading. Do you tell them? How do you deal with you get an intuitive hit that the person who's come into you for healing for their headache and shoulders are having, massive interpersonal bad relationships at work? What do you do with that knowledge?
Depending on how sensitive the information is, and really depending on how my guidance comes through, sometimes I'll mention, oh, this seems to have something to do with conflict, and let them process it and make their own decision. Or I might ask, are there some challenges in your relationship right now? And sometimes if I'm guided to just say certain words, I'll just say the words. But I usually will check in with my guidance before I just blurt. Because some things are really none of my business.
Yeah.
And some things can be delivered in a way that's more delicate. And sometimes you have to be a little forward. It kind of depends. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And we've got a couple more questions. Griff, I'm going to come back to yours. I have not forgotten yours. But now they're asking, is there always heat in transfer of energy?
I'm sorry?
Is there always heat involved from the transfer of energy?
No. Sometimes the energy feels cool. Sometimes it feels hot. Sometimes it feels like little electric vibration. Sometimes a person doesn't feel anything, but maybe they see colors.
I've done energy work where it feels like, and all I can tell people is it feels like gravel. It's a certain kind of energy, but when it's there, it's like it's gravel against my palms.
Interesting.
So yeah. And if I ever get my Saturdays back, I want to take Reiki 1 with you. Just changed jobs again with AT&T. I said where I work. And I'm probably going to go back to working Saturdays again.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and then Griff says, have you ever worked with a shaman?
Not really. I've known some shaman, but never really done shamanic work per se.
What about maybe as a client? Have you ever had a shaman come to you for Reiki work on themselves?
Actually, yeah. Years ago, I used to volunteer for the healing ministry at one of the Unity churches. And one of the gentlemen that I used to work on there on a regular basis was actually a shaman.
Did you find his energy different? I mean, was there an easier connection? I'm asking this.
Well, in general, when somebody is doing a lot of work in the spirit world in a positive way, or when they're doing a lot of meditation and self-healing in general, those folks tend to have a more open energy flow. Sometimes, I hope this doesn't disrupt anything. I'm going to bring my space here a little bit closer. I'm getting really chilly. Sorry about that.
It's a little cold in Austin, y'all.
Yeah. Is it making noise? Is that disruptive?
Nope.
Okay, good. That feels better.
Let's tell her yes and make her freeze.
Yeah, right? In general, people who are doing work with spirit, their energy tends to be clearer. Sometimes I see the energy almost like a wire grids. And when people are really stressed out or in a lot of really negative environments, or just not taking good care of themselves, the wires seem to get all jumbled up. And so sometimes when I'm doing the work, I can really imagine the wires kind of straightening out and the grids becoming neat and clear. And so a lot of times when people are doing a lot of spiritually connected work, their wires are clear. They're uncrossed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They said, are the settings on the heater low, medium, and Reiki?
Yes. Yes. Although today,
a very funny group in the chat room.
Yeah, the Reiki energy feels cold today. It doesn't feel hot today.
Now, what would you, if you had, because I know that I do readings through email, tarot readings. Mm-hmm. Are you able, if somebody just sends you their name, like if Eben just sent you, my name's Eben, I'd like a Reiki healing, I'm paying you through PayPal. Do you need to see Eben even on Skype, or can you just do it that way?
I can just do it. Actually, there was several years ago, there was a good friend of mine whose brother was in a terrible car accident. Never met him. She was too upset about it to even tell me what was going on. I'm going to get very emotional. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about this, but anyways, I went home and I did work on him, and I could see, like I could feel this crushing pain in the lungs and difficulty breathing. I could feel lots of things broken and crushed in the body, but I could see these wires, all these different angels and spirits holding on to these wires and keeping him in the body. Wow. With these wires. And I went back to my friend the next day and I was like, your brother's going to live. There's a whole bunch of beings on the other side working on him, and they're all working to keep him here. And then I was working on him at a distance every day, and then I could feel one day the breathing was clearer, and I could feel his lungs were clear. And then I went to her and I talked to her, and she said that they had just completed surgery on his lungs and on the ribs surrounding the lungs. And so, so a lot of the time even someone I don't know anything about, I can get some really clear reads on.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of connection is so amazing, and it's a little, for me, frightening when it happens, because even though I understand it and I believe it and I know it, when it happens on that kind of a level for me, there's a part of me that goes, whoa. Do you still have that? How? And somebody who wasn't here on time asked how long you've been practicing Reiki.
Reiki specifically, about 13 or 14 years.
Okay. There, Eben. I'm harassing Eben.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you deal with, healer overwhelm?
That's a good question. I'm really empathic, and I feel everything.
I think it's one of the reasons we get along so well.
Yeah, I think so. And sometimes it's really difficult and overwhelming and painful to feel everything. So the good thing about Reiki is that that's part of the level 1 training of grounding. If you have a good teacher, I've had a bunch of people come to me to repeat their level 1 because they never learned some of the most fundamental things that really need to be taught in level 1. But one of the things that you learn really early on is how to sink roots into the earth and branches into the heavens and open yourself as a channel so that the divine energy can come through you and heal you on the way to the other person. And that really all you have to do is be an open and clear vessel. So you get healed every time you do the work.
Wow.
And when the emotional overload, because I mean, I still have it, like, I'm human. Anybody who puts themselves out there as, oh, I'm a healer, I can fix everything, and my life is perfect, is full. Can I use a bad word?
Sure,
Absolutely.
You can say shit.
What?
You can say shit.
Okay, good, because I already did.
Full of shit.
Full of shit. You know, I'm a person on a path, and I'm on this path because I've had my own struggles that have led me searching. And so those things that have worked best for me and that continue to work best for me are the things that I continue to offer to other people because I know personally that they work.
Yeah.
And I still do work in the morning with refugees. And so, you know, I get this empathy situation a lot. And so being able to, when I get too full of the pain of the world, that I can find a quiet moment and sit down and put my hands over my own heart and ask that beautiful, loving energy to just wash me free of it. That helps everything. Remembering to do it every time I need it is, you know, is the challenge. But, you know, I work on that.
Now, I'm going to ask you if you remember about this time of year, 2, maybe 3 years ago, when you reached out to somebody and said, hey, I have a chance to get an office. You want to go in with me?
Mm-hmm.
It was just about, I think it was back in January, but look at where you are now from where you were.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you remember, because you were, when Michelle and I first talked, Michelle was having some real high stress levels that she was working on, but her stress levels were like up to here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, it's amazing where you've come.
Yes. And that's, you know, I work at it. I work at it every day. And that's my commitment to myself, is my own happy creative life. And I really believe in walking the walk of what I help other people do. I've completely recreated my life on a number of different occasions. And yeah, at that time was I had just officially given my my notice of quitting my job as a public school teacher just a few months before we opened up that office together. And that job had more empathy sickness than I could manage. It was huge and nonstop, and yeah, and that was more than I could manage, even with the help of the Reiki. But that was the thing of like having that guidance that helped me to be clear when to go.
And I think you were scared to ask me.
What's that?
When you first asked me about possibly sharing an office.
Oh, actually, I can't remember if I was scared to ask you or not, but I remember being so excited when you said yes.
I was like thrilled. Oh, Robin said, see, the divine pulls you in the right direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I told people to find you on Facebook. I gave Happy Creative Life, how to find you on Facebook. And also, Oh, it looks like it all ran together though. Oopsie. Let me try that again, y'all. I failed. And I also gave them how to find your meetup. I didn't realize you were doing a meetup with Happy Creative.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which incidentally, if you have any kind of cool event you want me to put up on there, I'm happy to.
I'm trying to get this in here again. There. Let's see if that worked. Yay, I got them in. So, what do you do with your Happy Creative Life meetups?
Right now, unfortunately, not a whole lot. It's something I plan to develop more. I do on occasion do healing meditation groups, and I put my classes on there. I have visions of having some like healthy food potlucks, but I don't know. I've been in transition. I moved. I moved
so you
house. Actually, I moved in with Alan. So I've been moving my house for a couple of months, and I just moved my office, and so there's some things that I just haven't had a chance to work out yet.
So you're not right down the road from me anymore?
No. I'm not far though. I'm still east.
That's the other thing that Michelle and I found out when I bought my condo. I said I was moving to where I was going to be very close to the office. She's like, me too. She lived over in this neighborhood, so we were keeping South Austin weirder.
Yes.
Now we're almost at the very end. If you had 3 minutes left to tell people the most important thing to know about you as a Reiki healer, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a big question.
I like to wait and ask them late.
Yeah. Most important thing to know about me as a healer. I guess that I bring a really deep compassion to my work and a very sincere desire to serve, and that in addition to being a Reiki master, I have a bunch of different types of healing that I do. So I always pull from the widest amount of resources possible to be able to offer up exactly what the person needs and exactly what's going to serve them best at any given moment. And that I also work really hard to keep my own personal agendas out of the way and really be an open, clean vessel for spirit to work through me. And I don't cling to clients and try to keep them with me forever and ever, although I love you if you do. I still love you if you don't. I really help people to become independent and to have all their own resources to be able to live their best life at any given moment, with or without me. So that's, I think, is really important, that I try to support independence.
Very cool. Michelle, thank you so much. I am surprised, as always, that an hour has gone by. It doesn't seem that long. Mm-hmm. I would invite people to please go like Michelle's page. Invite your friends to go like Michelle's page. If you're in the Austin area, definitely see her about taking a class. See her about getting healing for yourself. I can tell you that walking into our office after she'd been in there doing a healing, it was really evident because the whole room just kind of resonated. It was kind of between peaceful and energetic. It was kind of a neat balance of the type of energy. But it's always awesome to see you, even if we have to talk on Skype when we live in the same town.
I know. It's kind of Nice to see you.
It's been a while.
It has too long.
But I'm going to say good night and seek joy, y'all. Pass it on.